the story of Prophet Ismail alayhi salam. A long, long time ago, Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam and his wife Sarah were traveling through a desert. They had been traveling for many days, and one day they happened to enter the territory of an evil king. The evil king came to know about the beautiful wife of the Prophet, and he wanted to take her. So he sent one of his soldiers to bring the Prophet to him. The soldier brought the Prophet before the king. "Who is the lady accompanying you?" asked the evil king. The Prophet replied that she was his sister. The evil king then asked the Prophet to bring Sarah to his court. He said that he wanted to meet this beautiful woman that everyone in his kingdom was talking about. The Prophet went to his wife and said, "The king wants to meet you. Do not ever tell him that you are my wife, because I have told him that you are my sister." When Sarah went to the king's palace, the king was struck by her beauty, and he tried to take hold of her with his hands. But the moment his hand got near Sarah, it became stiff, and he could not move it. The evil king was scared, and he requested Sarah, "Please pray to Allah for me, and I will never harm you." When Sarah prayed to Allah, his hands were cured miraculously. But the moment he realized that his hands were cured, the foolish king tried to take hold of Sarah again. For the second time, his hands became stiff. The king could not move his hands at all. "Please pray to Allah for me. I shall never harm you again," said the king. Sarah prayed to Allah again, and his hands were cured for the second time. This time, the king realized that Sarah was no ordinary woman, so he gave her a gift. He gave her one of his Egyptian maidservants, whose name was Hajar. She was then sent home. When Sarah returned home, the Prophet asked her what had happened. "Allah taught that evil king a lesson, and he gave me the maid Hajar," replied Sarah. Years passed, and the Prophet grew old. His hair turned gray, but he continued to call people back to Allah. Sarah too had grown old, and she realized that she would no longer be able to give birth to a child. So she asked the Prophet to marry their servant Hajar. She then prayed to Allah to bless them with a child. The Prophet then turned around and started to walk away. His wife hurried after him. "Where are you going, leaving us in this barren valley?" she cried. But the Prophet did not answer her and kept walking away. She called him again, but the Prophet remained silent and walked away. Finally, she understood that the Prophet was not acting on his own. She realized that Allah had commanded him to do this. "Did Allah command you to do so?" she asked him. The Prophet nodded and continued walking. Then his great wife said, "We are not going to be lost, since Allah, who commanded you, is with us." The Prophet was very sad, because he had left his wife and son in a barren desert where there were no other people. He prayed to Allah to give his wife and son enough food, and he asked Allah to send people with good hearts to them. Hajar radiyallahu anha drank the water that the Prophet had left so that she could feed her son. The water got over very soon, and both of them started becoming very thirsty. After some time, the baby started crying from thirst. She ran to a nearby hill called Al-Marwa, hoping that she might find somebody. She stood there looking for someone, but she did not find anyone. Then she ran to the next mountain called Al-Safa, hoping to find someone there, but she could not find anyone there either. She kept running between these two mountains 7 times. When she climbed Al-Marwa for the last time, she was very tired. She became so tired that she sat next to her baby. It was then that she heard a voice. She kept quiet and waited to hear the voice again. When she heard the voice for the second time, she said, "Oh, whoever you might be, you have made me hear your voice. Have you got something to help me?" That was when she saw an angel digging the earth. The angel kept digging until water flowed from it. It was a miracle. When she saw the water, she ran toward it and started to build a basin around it. She scooped the water with her hands and drank from it. Then she filled the water bag and ran toward her child. This place where the water sprang forth is called Zamzam. After a few days, some people were traveling through Makkah. They saw birds flying around Al-Marwa, and they thought the birds might be circling water. They started walking toward Al-Marwa. When they arrived, they were surprised to find a woman with a baby sitting near the water. May we stay here and use this water? They asked her. Hajar radiallahu anha said yes, and they drank from Zamzam. Many others also came to Al-Marwa and eventually settled there. The whole valley became alive, and she and her child were not alone anymore. Ismail alayhi salam grew up and learned Arabic from the people who had settled there. He was a good boy, and his virtues and qualities made the people admire him. He kept thinking about his father and knew that his father would come back someday. Ismail alayhi salam then married a local woman and lived his life in peace. In the meantime, Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam was very sad because he had not seen his son for a very long time. One day, he decided to go to Makkah to meet his wife and son. He traveled for many days and finally arrived at Al-Marwa. When he arrived, people told him that Hajar radiallahu anha had died some time ago. The Prophet was very sad to hear this. Then the local people told him that his son Ismail alayhi salam was still alive. The Prophet was very happy to hear this and thanked Allah. When Ismail alayhi salam saw his father, he ran to him and hugged him tightly. He could not believe his eyes. He was very happy to see his father after a long, long time. It was a very happy time for both of them. But one day, Allah decided to test Ibrahim alayhi salam. One night, while the Prophet was sleeping, he saw a dream. In his dream, he saw himself sacrificing his son for Allah. The Prophet woke up and ignored it because it was just a dream. But the next night, he saw the same dream again. This time, he realized that it was not just a dream, and that Allah was asking him to sacrifice his own son. The Prophet went to his son and told him about the dream. Ismail alayhi salam realized that it was an order from Allah. Do what Allah has asked you to do, he told his father. The next day, the Prophet took a rope and a knife and set out for Mount Arafat along with his son. Upon reaching the top of the mountain, Ismail alayhi salam asked his father to tie his hands and feet so that he would not struggle during the sacrifice. The Prophet obliged and tied him. Then he blindfolded himself so that he would not have to watch his son suffer. The Prophet raised his knife, but suddenly he heard a voice from the sky. He removed his blindfold and saw a sheep being sent from heaven. Allah had sent the sheep to be sacrificed instead of Ismail alayhi salam. The Prophet was overjoyed because his son would live. The Prophet and his son had passed a difficult test from Allah. Ibrahim alayhi salam slaughtered the sheep and they celebrated together. The Prophet and his son continued calling people to worship Allah. They did not have a place to worship Allah. So one day, Allah ordered the Prophet to build a house. Allah has ordered me to build the Kaaba, the Prophet said to his son. And Ismail alayhi salam replied, do what your Lord has ordered you to do. The Prophet then asked his son to help him build the Kaaba, and Ismail alayhi salam agreed. They started building its foundation. Ismail alayhi salam brought the stones, while Ibrahim alayhi salam built the house. When the walls became tall, Ismail alayhi salam brought a large stone for the Prophet to stand on while working. This stone was called Maqam Ibrahim. When they completed the foundation and built the corners, Ibrahim alayhi salam asked Ismail alayhi salam to find a stone to fill one of the corners. I feel tired, Ismail alayhi salam said. But when Ibrahim alayhi salam insisted, Ismail alayhi salam went searching for a stone. While he was away, an angel brought a stone to the Prophet. The angel told him that this stone had been brought to earth by Adam alayhi salam from paradise. The stone was originally white. However, its color gradually turned black because of the sins committed by people on earth. Ismail alayhi salam returned and was surprised to see the stone. He asked his father where it had come from. It was brought by someone who never gets tired, replied Ibrahim alayhi salam. They finally completed building the Kaaba. They prayed to Allah to accept their work. Allah was pleased with the Prophet and his son for spreading his message. And proclaim the pilgrimage among mankind. They will come to you on foot and on every lean camel, coming from every distant pass. The Prophet grew old, and so did his wife Sarah. One day, While sitting outside his house, he saw 3 men approaching. The 3 men were actually angels sent by Allah. The Prophet welcomed them inside and served them a roasted calf. But the strangers did not touch the food at all. The Prophet became afraid. Then the angels comforted him and asked him not to fear. They told him that they were angels sent by Allah. They informed him that they had come to deliver good news. They said that Allah was going to give them a son and that he should name him Ishaq. They also told him that his son would be a prophet. Sarah could not believe her ears. How could that be true? I am so old, she wondered. Then the angels said that all things are possible with Allah. After a few months, Sarah became pregnant and gave birth to a child. The Prophet named him Ishaq alayhi salam, as the angels had instructed. After a few years, Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam missed his son Ismail alayhi salam badly, so he went to see him. When the Prophet reached the house of Ismail alayhi salam, he was not at home. His wife came out, and when the Prophet asked her about Ismail alayhi salam, she replied, "He has gone in search of livelihood." He then asked her about their living conditions, and she started complaining about everything. She complained that they were living in misery and hardship. She was not grateful for the blessings of Allah. The Prophet realized that she was not a suitable wife for his son, so he left her a message. "When your husband returns, convey my greetings to him," he said, "and tell him to change the threshold of his gate." The Prophet then returned home. When Ismail alayhi salam came back in the evening, he felt that something unusual had happened. "Did anyone visit us today?" he asked. She replied, "Yes," and passed on the message. When Ismail alayhi salam heard it, he realized that it had been his father. "It was my father, and he has advised me to divorce you. You may return to your family," he told her. She returned to her family, and Ismail alayhi salam later married another woman. After a long time, Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam again missed his son and visited him once more. This time, his new wife answered the door. The Prophet asked her the same questions. Her answers showed that she was grateful and kind. She kept thanking Allah for all his blessings. The Prophet was very happy. "When your husband comes home, give him my greetings," the Prophet told her, "and tell him to keep the threshold of this gate firm." That evening, when Ismail alayhi salam returned home and heard the message, he was very happy. When his wife told him about the Prophet and the message, Ismail alayhi salam was very happy. "It was my father," said Ismail alayhi salam, "and you are the threshold of the gate. He asked me to keep you with me forever," said the Prophet happily. Years went by, and his father, Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, passed away, leaving him with the mission to continue spreading Islam.